Welcome, my friends, to Unbreakable Spirit. I am your storyteller, your fellow traveler in the journey of perseverance, Mr. Emmanuel. This is the place where we breathe life into the stories of men and women who refuse to bow to life's storms. Here, we walk through valleys of struggle and climb mountains of triumph, so that by the end, your own spirit will rise higher, stronger, unshakable. Each story you hear here is not just a biography, it's a mirror, showing you what's possible when you never give up. So if you are ready to feed your courage, strengthen your hope, and ignite that fire within, stay with me, because your transformation starts here. If you've ever been pushed to the edge by life's cruelty, if you've been told you're not good enough or felt crushed by circumstances beyond your control, then you are in the right place. Because here, we believe that the human spirit, your spirit, is unbreakable. Together, we will walk through the life of a woman whose name is known in almost every home across the world, but whose beginnings were so humble and painful that the odds of her success seemed almost impossible. Her name is Oprah Winfrey. You may know her as a billionaire media mogul, an actress, a talk show host, or a philanthropist who has touched millions of lives. But before all the fame, the fortune, and the applause, Oprah was a little girl living in poverty on a farm, wearing dresses made out of potato sacks. She was a child who endured abuse and rejection, who faced loss at a tender age, and who more than once could have given up on life entirely. Yet she didn't. She pushed forward. She found a voice when the world tried to silence her. She learned to dream when life gave her every reason not to. And she built an empire from the very place people said she didn't belong, in front of a camera speaking her truth. In today's video, you will travel with Oprah from the red soil of Mississippi to the glass towers of Chicago, from the wooden porch of her grandmother's house to the grand stages of the world. You will see the nights when she cried herself to sleep, the mornings when she chose to rise anyway, and the moments when everything seemed lost, until perseverance opened another door. By the end of this video, you will learn the powerful life lessons that carried Oprah through decades of challenges and triumphs. You will understand that failure is not a full stop, but a comma in the sentence of your life. You will see how self-belief can become the most valuable currency in your journey, and you will witness that no matter where you start, your destination can be greater than anything you imagined. But this is not just about Oprah Winfrey. This is about you. It's about the times you've been underestimated, the days when you felt invisible, the seasons of life when you had nothing, except maybe a spark of hope buried deep inside. The truth is, you have the same capacity for resilience that she had, the same ability to rise above, to turn pain into purpose, to make your life a light for others. And so, before we begin this journey, I have a small request for you, a request from one spirit to another. If you believe that stories like this can inspire someone else, if you believe that hope should never be kept to yourself, then please take a moment to subscribe to this channel. Click the like button so more people can find this message. Share this video with someone who might need it today. And don't forget to leave a comment telling me what part of Oprah's journey touches your heart the most. Because this is not just a story you listen to, it's a story you take with you. The year was 1954. The summer heat hung heavy over the fields of Kosciuszko, Mississippi, a small rural town surrounded by endless stretches of farmland. It was here on January 29th that a baby girl entered the world, a child born to teenage parents who were not ready for the weight of raising a family. Her mother, Vernita Lee, was only 18 years old. She worked as a housemaid, earning barely enough to cover her own needs. Her father, Vernon Winfrey, was just 20, a young man serving in the military at the time, later becoming a barber and a city councilman. The two were never married. And even before Oprah could form her first words, life had already placed her on a difficult path. From the start, it was clear that Oprah's upbringing would be far from stable. With both parents struggling to build their own futures, the responsibility of raising her fell to her grandmother, Hattie Mae Lee. Hattie Mae was a strict, deeply religious woman. She lived in a simple wooden house with no running water, no electricity, and little more than the bare essentials. The clothes on Oprah's back were often sewn from old potato sacks, a fact that would later cause other children to tease her. But what Hattie Mae lacked in material wealth, she tried to make up for with discipline and faith. Every Sunday, little Oprah was dressed in her best hand-sewn dress and taken to church. Hattie Mae had her memorizing Bible verses before most children her age could read. "The Lord will make a way," her grandmother often told her, planting seeds of faith that Oprah would carry for the rest of her life. It was also in that modest church that Oprah's first spark of talent was noticed. At just 3 years old, she stood before the congregation and recited a verse from the Bible. Her voice was small but confident, her words clear, and her audience listened with admiration. That day, someone in the crowd whispered, "That little girl is special." Yet behind that moment of admiration was a reality that was far from easy. Poverty was constant. Oprah learned early how to fetch water from a well, wash clothes by hand, and survive on what little food they could grow or buy. While other children had toys, she had her imagination, and that imagination became her refuge. Still, there was something inside her, even then, that refused to be defeated by her surroundings. By the time she was 6 years old, her life was about to change again. Her mother, Vernita, had moved to Milwaukee, Wisconsin in search of work, and she decided it was time for Oprah to join her. The shift from rural Mississippi to the city streets of Milwaukee was overwhelming. Gone were the open fields and the steady, if strict, presence of her grandmother. Instead, Oprah found herself in cramped apartments, surrounded by noise, unfamiliar faces, and the harsh realities of urban poverty. Her mother was often busy with long hours of work, leaving Oprah in the care of relatives or family friends. And it was during these years that Oprah would endure one of the most devastating chapters of her life, one that would leave scars invisible to the eye but heavy on the heart. At just 9 years old, she became a victim of sexual abuse, first by a cousin, then by other men in her family circle. The very people meant to protect her had betrayed her trust. And like so many children in similar situations, Oprah kept her pain hidden, afraid and unsure of who would believe her. It's difficult to imagine the weight of such trauma on a child. For Oprah, it meant years of carrying a secret burden, of smiling in public while hurting in private. She found escape in reading and speaking aloud to imaginary audiences, and in dreaming of worlds where she could be safe, seen, and valued. But even in the midst of that suffering, something inside her refused to surrender. She was determined to excel in school, to use education as a ladder out of the life she was born into. By the time she reached her early teens, her ability to speak with passion and intelligence caught the attention of teachers, who encouraged her to participate in drama, debate, and public speaking competitions. Oprah didn't know it yet, but the very skills she was developing, standing before a crowd, telling a story, connecting through words, would become the foundation of her future empire. Still, her teenage years would hold more storms before the sunlight broke through. By the time Oprah was 13, the cracks in her young life had deepened. The abuse she had suffered in silence, the lack of stability, and the absence of consistent parental guidance had left her feeling lost. She began to rebel, skipping school, talking back to adults, and seeking attention in all the wrong places. She longed for love, for someone to truly see her and tell her she mattered. But instead, she often found herself drifting into the company of older, troubled teens, making choices that only pulled her further from the disciplined, faith-filled structure her grandmother once tried to instill. By 14, Oprah's life spiraled into more chaos. She became pregnant, a devastating turn for a young girl who was still a child herself. Her baby boy was born prematurely and tragically died just 2 weeks later. It was a heartbreaking chapter, one that Oprah rarely spoke about publicly for many years. The pain of that loss was indescribable, and it left her at a crossroads: continue down the same destructive path, or somehow fight her way out of it. Her mother, overwhelmed and unable to manage her behavior, sent her to a juvenile detention center. But in what would later feel like a twist of fate, the facility had no available beds. Vernita called Oprah's father, Vernon Winfrey, in Nashville, Tennessee, and asked if he could take her in. Vernon, a strict but deeply principled man, agreed, but with conditions. He made it clear from the start: in his house, there would be rules, discipline, and accountability. Education was not optional. When Oprah arrived in Nashville, she was carrying more than just a small suitcase. She carried years of pain, disappointment, and a restless spirit. He gave her a curfew. He made her read a book each week and write reports on them. He insisted she attend church regularly and encouraged her to speak in front of the congregation. For the first time in years, Oprah felt like someone believed in her potential and believed in it enough to demand more from her. She rose to the challenge. Her grades improved, her confidence grew. She became an honors student, joining the speech team and entering oratory competitions. In 1971, at just 17 years old, Oprah won the title of Miss Black Tennessee, a crown that came not from wealth or privilege, but from poise, intelligence, and eloquence. During the pageant, she caught the attention of local radio executives who offered her a job as a newsreader on WVOL. Oprah was still in high school, but her voice was already carrying her into rooms she had never dreamed she'd enter. The studio smelled faintly of coffee and warm electronics, and the soundboard looked like a spaceship to her at first, but she learned quickly. She continued working at the station even as she attended Tennessee State University, majoring in communications. Her first big television break came when WLAC-TV hired her as a co-anchor for the evening news. She was the youngest person, and the first black woman, to hold that position. She was naturally warm, emotional, and empathetic, qualities that made her a powerful communicator, but were seen as weaknesses in the rigid world of hard news. One day, she was called into the office and told she was being taken off the evening news and reassigned to a daytime talk show called People Are Talking. From the first episode, something clicked. On People Are Talking, she could be herself. Warm, curious, compassionate. She could laugh, cry, and connect with people. And in 1984, that voice caught the attention of executives in Chicago. They offered her the host position for a struggling morning show called AM Chicago. Within months of her taking over, the show soared to #1 in the market. Viewers didn't just watch her, they felt like they knew her. Soon, AM Chicago was rebranded as The Oprah Winfrey Show, and in September 1986, it premiered nationwide. Within a year, The Oprah Winfrey Show became the highest-rated talk show in America. It wasn't just entertainment, it was connection. In 1985, she delivered a stunning performance as Sophia in The Color Purple, earning an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. She used her platform to shed light on issues like child abuse, domestic violence, poverty, and racism, topics that mainstream television often avoided. She negotiated ownership rights to the program through her company, Harpo Productions. This wasn't just about control, it was about creating long-term power and independence. By the early 1990s, The Oprah Winfrey Show wasn't just a talk show. It was a cultural force. Viewers tuned in not only for celebrity interviews and book recommendations, but also for life-changing conversations about forgiveness, resilience, and self-worth. Her book club could turn unknown authors into bestsellers overnight. Her endorsement could skyrocket a product's sales. Politicians, spiritual leaders, and ordinary people alike came to her stage because they knew her audience trusted her. And through it all, she remained grounded in the lessons her grandmother, father, and even her most painful experiences had taught her. Work hard, keep learning, stay authentic, and never let someone else define your worth. Despite her soaring success, Oprah's journey was far from smooth. Behind the bright studio lights and smiling camera faces, she faced battles that tested her resolve and her spirit. One of the most public struggles Oprah dealt with was her ongoing battle with weight. From early in her career, she was often criticized for her appearance, told she didn't fit the narrow standards of beauty imposed by the entertainment industry. The pressure to change was relentless, and for many years, Oprah wrestled with self-image and health. She tried diets and extreme measures, but what stood out was her honesty. Oprah spoke openly about her struggles in interviews and on her show, helping millions of viewers feel less alone in their own battles with body image and self-esteem. Her vulnerability became a strength, turning a personal challenge into a platform for empathy and empowerment. Oprah also faced harsh criticism from media pundits and rival celebrities. Some accused her of being overly emotional or accused her show of sensationalizing pain. Others doubted her intellect or questioned her motivations. But she never allowed these voices to define her. Instead, Oprah used every setback as fuel. Each critique was a challenge to work harder, to be more authentic, and to expand her vision. She reinvented herself constantly, moving beyond talk shows into film, magazine publishing, and eventually launching her own cable network, the Oprah Winfrey Network OWN. Launching OWN was a bold step. Starting a television network from scratch in a rapidly changing media landscape was no small feat. Early ratings were low, and the journey was rocky. But Oprah's determination never wavered. She surrounded herself with talented people, listened to feedback, and made tough decisions to steer the network toward success. Her perseverance paid off. OWN became a platform for diverse voices and inspirational stories, continuing Oprah's lifelong mission of giving people a voice and a chance to heal. On a personal level, Oprah faced heartbreak as well. Years of demanding work meant sacrifices in her personal life, including struggles with relationships and finding balance. Yet, she found peace in philanthropy and spirituality, drawing strength from giving back and from her own faith. Throughout it all, Oprah kept her core belief that setbacks are not endings, but opportunities to grow. Her life proved that true success isn't the absence of failure, but the courage to keep moving forward despite it. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, Oprah Winfrey was no longer just a talk show host. She had become a powerhouse of media, entrepreneurship, and philanthropy. Her company, Harpo Productions, founded in 1986, had grown far beyond producing The Oprah Winfrey Show. It became a vehicle for Oprah's vision, to create content that inspired, educated, and empowered people from all walks of life. With Harpo, she took control of her narrative and built a business empire on her own terms. A rare feat for an African-American woman in a predominantly white, male industry. Oprah's influence extended beyond television. She published O, the Oprah magazine, which became a favorite for millions seeking inspiration, wellness advice, and stories of personal transformation. She produced movies, including Beloved and The Color Purple, where her acting earned critical acclaim. In 2000, Oprah took a groundbreaking step, launching the Oprah Winfrey Network, OWN, her own cable channel. It was a bold risk, a leap into uncharted territory. The beginning was tough. The channel struggled to find its audience, and critics questioned whether Oprah could succeed in this new venture. But true to form, she persevered. She surrounded herself with dedicated professionals, listened carefully to feedback, and reshaped the network's programming to focus on stories of hope, healing, and empowerment. Meanwhile, Oprah's philanthropic work blossomed. She gave generously to causes close to her heart, especially education. In 2007, she opened the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for girls in South Africa, a school dedicated to providing world-class education and opportunities for girls from disadvantaged backgrounds. Her generosity extended to disaster relief efforts, scholarships, and organizations fighting poverty and inequality worldwide. Through the Oprah's Angel Network, she raised millions to help children and families in need. Her story was no longer just about personal success. It was about lifting others as she climbed. Oprah taught millions that true power comes with responsibility, to use one's influence to make a positive difference in the world. By 2003, Oprah became the first African-American woman billionaire, a milestone that symbolized not only her financial success, but the breaking of countless barriers. She had transformed the impossible into the inevitable. Oprah Winfrey's journey is much more than a story of fame and fortune. It is a masterclass in resilience, self-belief, and the power of purpose. One of the most profound lessons Oprah teaches us is that pain can become the fuel for purpose. From the poverty of her childhood to the trauma she endured, Oprah did not allow her suffering to define her future. Instead, she chose to transform that pain into a motivation to help others. Her life shows us that failure is not the end, but often a necessary step on the path to success. When she was rejected from the evening news, many would have given up. Oprah used that rejection as a pivot, a chance to discover a new style that truly connected with people. Education was her ladder out of hardship, a theme she often emphasizes. Oprah's commitment to learning, speaking, and growing empowered her to break cycles of poverty and limitation. She reminds us that knowledge is freedom, and investing in ourselves is the greatest gift we can give. Another key lesson is the importance of authenticity and vulnerability. Oprah's willingness to be open about her struggles helped millions feel seen and heard. She showed that embracing who you are, flaws and all, can create deeper connections and inspire others to do the same. Lastly, Oprah teaches the value of giving back. True success is measured not only by what you achieve but by how you uplift others. Her philanthropic efforts and Leadership Academy demonstrate how generosity creates lasting impact. Her legacy is not just in the billions she earned or the awards she won, it is in the lives she touched, the barriers she broke, and the hope she inspired. As we close this journey through the life of Oprah Winfrey, one truth stands clear. No matter where you come from, no matter the hardships you face, you have within you an unbreakable spirit. Oprah's story teaches us that poverty, pain, and rejection are not chains but challenges. Tests that can either break us or build us. She chose to build. She chose to rise. And in rising, she lifted millions with her. Remember her beginnings. A little girl in a small Mississippi town, raised by her grandmother in poverty, dressed in potato sacks. Remember her darkest moments. The abuse, the loss of a child, the rejection from television executives who didn't see her worth. And then, watch how she turned each of those trials into stepping stones to greatness. Her life is a beacon for anyone who feels invisible, unheard, or trapped by circumstance. It's a call to hold on, to believe in yourself, and to keep moving forward, even when the path seems impossible. You too have an unbreakable spirit inside. You have the power to turn your pain into purpose and your dreams into reality. Thank you for watching this story of perseverance, hope, and triumph. If Oprah's journey has inspired you, please take a moment to subscribe to Unbreakable Spirit. Like this video to help spread its message. Share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And leave a comment below. Tell me what part of Oprah's story touched your heart the most. Together, we will keep the spirit alive. Together, we will rise. I'm Mr. Emmanuel, and I'll see you in the next videos.